We're most interested in these presentations in what your concept looks like. Of course, if we understand you've got a great team. We think everyone has great teams. You can talk a little bit about that, but mostly what we want to hear is about the project itself and how you see it. And I think I found last week that having these presentations with the big screen and people who designed them at least gave me, I'll only speak for myself, a much better handle on what these concepts might look like and how they play out and how they tie into the RFP that we sent out. So, Rick, you want to start? No. We got a half an hour, 15, 20 minutes for you, then some questions.
Hey, Rick, you have to press it's the green button. It's the one on the right, and then you're good.
Hold on one second, I forgot. I think is the mayor online? Mayor Mahoney?
Yes, I am.
And Shannon.
Going to Charleston.
And is Shannon online too? Shannon Full?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I can't be there in person.
Okay, well, we're glad you're listening in. Okay, so anyone else online other than the presenters? I don't think so. Okay, back to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Charlie. Thanks for your leadership and your passion. This is something we've been working on for 40 years. And so it's critical that we get this right. And I'm really excited to be sitting here today because, we got a great site. The other thing to make things work is you need someone that's got experience in this space, people that know how to do convention centers. And so with Garfield as a developer, along with McShane, with an architect that's done this, and you'll see their pictures that we're going forward, DLR, and then also Ryan Companies in conjunction with local great states on the construction piece. So with that, I'll introduce Ray Garfield.
Thank you, Rick. It's a pleasure to be with you all this afternoon. I'd like to go to slide number 2, if you don't mind, and introduce those that are there within your presence and those virtually. I'm Ray Garfield, Chairman of Garfield Public Private. With me and my company here are Steve Galbraith, who's our Chief Development Officer and partner in the firm, Mark Bullard, Senior Vice President, Project Executive. Both Steve and Mark are accomplished architects with many years of experience doing that before being with us as a developer. Walter Paseski is our Senior VP and runs our asset management division and has great relationships with the brands. With you there, Tim McShane of McShane Development, and of course Rick with his organization, and Jason Gabrick with Ryan. Construction's on the line, Regional Senior Vice President, one of the our top 50 contractors in the country, and Brian Murch, who's Hospitality Design Leader for DLR. If we could go on to the next slide, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But some weeks ago, I wrote to your Director of Strategic Planning, Jim Gilmore, to express our concern of having to present not only our capabilities, our skills, our experience, but a site to develop there. And so for a developer that's headquartered a few miles away from North Dakota, I expressed my concern about trying to figure out which was the best site. Thankfully, Jim sent my letter to a number of the firms that were contemplating submitting. And as a result, we were actually contacted by 5 different site teams to inquire about our potentially being the developer. So it really is, I think, is meaningful that we have Tim McShane and Rick Berg here with us as partners today, because not only do they represent Shields, the owner of this particular property, but they have significant development and construction experience to be our local partners. So Garfield has been doing this for a number of years, 30 years. You can see here that we've developed more than 30 million square feet of space, 11 billion in financing over the last 4 decades, 20 plus hotels developed or financed, over 6,000 keys and millions of square feet. It is the fact that we have been doing this development, and real quickly go to the next slide, just to give you an indication of a little view of what we have done. The hotel in the upper left, the Westin Irving Convention Center, was on our first page. It is a headquarters hotel for a 250,000 square foot convention center in Las Colinas, which houses 40 of the nation's Fortune 500 companies. Sheraton Puerto Rico Convention Center, the Overton Hotel in Lubbock, the Sheraton Overland Park Convention Center in Overland Park, Kansas, perennially one of the best regional convention centers in the country. Next slide. As well as 2 DoubleTrees, the smallest hotel that we developed for Bay City, Michigan, a number of years ago. And the DoubleTree Convention Center Hotel, a 200-key hotel in Abilene, remarkably same population as Fargo, about 125,000. The 2 Hyatt Regencies, a Hyatt Regency for Baytown and a Hyatt Regency for Conroe. So we feel like, we have significant skill in this area and are just pleased to be talking to you today. Next slide. So we want to go ahead and turn it back over to Tim and to Rick to talk to you about our site.
Well, the first rule in real estate is the same as the second and third. It's location, location, location. The site that we're proposing is the only site in North Dakota that has 2 interstate crossing. And so it's the southwest quadrant of Interstate I-29 and 94. This really is the gateway to Fargo. I mean, quite frankly, it's the gateway to North Dakota and the gateway of Western United States. And so you can see the site there. We can go to the next slide, and Tim, you can explain it in more detail.
So, thank you again for the opportunity to present here again today. Just a couple of things about this site that set it apart. As Rick said, not only a gateway, but when you look at the traffic counts, it's the highest visibility site in the state of North Dakota. 44 million cars a year will drive by this site. That's a $500 million over 10 years, almost. So that's good for a convention center. It's even more important for the headquarters hotel that would want to locate here. That's a very compelling item here. So from an access standpoint, we're 2 minutes from the freeway on 45th and 2 minutes from 32nd. So it's a very convenient site, high visibility site. The acreage that you see remaining aside from here is going to be about $100 million worth of additional development that will be spurred by having the convention center here, which means, of course, a lot more additional revenue in addition to what happens here with the convention center and the hotel to the city of Fargo. So we think that's also kind of a compelling differentiator here for this site as well. When you take a look at that, it's a compelling offering from a site standpoint, and for Fargo to have their convention center seen by just everybody in the Midwest over the next how many years, it feels like an excellent, compelling offering.
Great. Hey, Brian Mertz, why don't you start with the design narrative stuff up front?
Sure. Yeah, I think, our work in hospitality is really driven by storytelling, and it's no different here in Fargo. So how do we create a destination that not only houses the conference center itself, but also those hospitality layers of a great hotel experience? Full service, right? So it's got food and beverage, it's got meeting venues, it's got places to rest your head at night, but also, just thinking about as a catalyst for that development, like Tim had mentioned. So thinking about its placement, but also the energy that it brings, the tourism, it's local, it's national. So how do we create a destination within a destination to really spark everything and anything that is developed around us?
And I'd add, Brian said it, full service. We wholeheartedly think that this convention center needs to have an attached hotel, and it needs to be full service. Brian, you want to go on to the plan?
So as we looked at the 2 options for the site, I think as we made considerations for site 1 and site 2, I think site 1 we gravitated to just for the fact that it was a little more centralized to the bigger district. So we think about activation, some of those same themes that I had mentioned before, but really this hub of activity being the centerpiece of the development. We talk a lot about walkability. It's the human-centric design. It's everything that this new conference center and hotel will do to really activate this as its own district within Fargo.
And when we share the site options with you and the planning, we hope that the planning resonates with you. But I think what we really hope is that you kind of see the planning from a team that really knows how to plan these kind of hotels, who has done multiples of these hotels and have great relationships. I think you probably read in our RFQ response that we have letters of interest from both Hilton and Marriott. We have personal relationships with both and Hyatt as well, but we haven't come in with an exact brand yet because we want to sit down and be work collaboratively with you all to decide what exactly should this be.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And even as we considered the other alternative to Site 1, Site 2 here that you're looking at, created a little more visibility from the highways, being on the fringe, but going back, two great options, I would say, and even more in terms of this larger district and how we can push and pull things and really create a master plan that works for not only this district, but Fargo in general.
Yep. Absolutely. I guess a couple of things that we'd like to talk, and I hope you guys can see this image, and maybe we can zoom in if we need to. But really what this is trying to show is how a convention center and hotel meld together. Like many of those images that you saw, those 8 projects that we did, every one of those has a connected convention center and hotel, and how those work together, their synergy and the economy of scale, and having one truck dock, having one restaurant, one kitchen that serves both banqueting and the restaurant and room service. All of that saves these projects millions of dollars. And we know from all of the work we've done that if a city is going to build a convention center out by itself and have hotels be down the street here and down the street there, that convention center is going to operate at a deficit every year, and the city will need to budget to cover that deficit. So. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so I think just building on what Steve had mentioned, just even thinking about that guest experience piece, which is near and dear to our hearts as hospitality designers, the infusion of those public spaces, it's that guest experience. It's from that arrival moment, whether it's for the hotel or the conference center, and how those things all work in concert. It's a really delicate balancing act, I would say, between that guest front that you create, but then the operations that happens all behind the scenes. And so infusing those two things in concert together throughout design really creates a seamless approach, not only to operations, but then going back to how the function of the hotel and conference center work in concert.
Yeah, and I think you can see, we've shied away from showing materials or imagery that really shows how glassy it is or what materials are on the exterior of the building. I think we'd really like to work collaboratively with your group and really decide how does this become Fargo. And that's really what we do, is make sure every project, it's not just a project that's kind of stamped out and stuck down in this city or this city. Each one is crafted for the home where it is. It's not only going to be a project that brings in association business, which is a big priority for these projects, not just transient nights, but bringing in people for high impact business that'll fill all the hotels. But it's going to be a place where weddings happen, where galas for local events. And so we want to make sure that works with everybody. Ray, Brian, did you want to touch on anything else? And we were going to give Ray just a couple minutes to talk about structure.
Yeah, no, I think as we close out the last few 3D views that we had generated, again, just understanding scope and scale, how we push these pieces as close together as we can, delineating that hotel tower, the conference center tower, really thinking about view trajectories. You can see that green, that is one of the colors we use, just this park-like setting, making it all interconnected with the rest of the development, whether it's pad restaurant sites or retail or anything else that we supplement the programming to, just ultimately creating its own unique district within Fargo. So hopefully the 3D images really help tell that story. Take it away, Ray.
Yes. Ray, you're on mute, I think.
Thank you for pointing that out, Steve. We'd like to leave you with a handful of thoughts, really some suggested do's and don'ts in this space, because this is what we do day in and out and have for the last 3 decades. We feel you must include a full service hotel, headquarters hotel, with your convention center. Tom Azinski, in his study for your convention center at HVS, one of the country's best individuals in this space, stated 150 to 200 key headquarters hotel. So, you know, in our experience, connected, to eliminate building 2 different banquet kitchens, 2 different loading docks for 2 different facilities and everything else is just more expensive and doesn't give the association members, the convention members, et cetera, that are attending the kind of experience that they want to really have. So, you know, we want the hotel to work seamlessly with the convention or conference facilities. And we want to work seamlessly with the city, with Fargo Moorhead, with the CVB, with your chamber, and booking high impact business here, multiple day events, and hosting associations and convention meetings. The hotel itself needs to execute a booking agreement with the convention center so that they agree to reserve rooms 18 months ahead of any bookings, 12 months ahead of any bookings, 6 months ahead, specifically for these group events. This is a group hotel primarily. So without that hotel, as Steve said, the convention center will vastly underperform. Just as an example, the picture you're looking at right now, which is the Irving Convention Center, the modern looking facility, but, you know, beyond the hotel, was delivered 8 years ahead of when they could actually get a headquarters hotel built. And so for those 8 years, that was a vacant lot where the Westin stands. And their average spend for people using that convention center was under $30 a day. And today, with that convention center headquarters hotel, we've certainly heard from their CVB that the spending is almost $400 a day. I mean, the financial impact is huge. Secondly, the capital structure is more complex and will really probably need a higher municipal commitment than if you simply develop the conference center on its own. Without your modern full service headquarters hotel. But that's our expertise. It really is working with your city, the staff, the financial advisors, the bond council, and exploring solutions. And we know we will succeed in developing an optimal capital structure. Often we've been successful in raising foundation grant money, naming rights, et cetera, to help leverage the public contribution. And finally, we believe that a not-for-profit structure, so we can use taxes and financing for both of these facilities, is vastly superior to a privately owned hotel. Privately owned hotels are more expensive to build, they're more expensive to operate, they're more expensive to amortize, and no developer can bring you a full service headquarters hotel without asking the city for some sort of a subsidy. And those private investors, if it's a privately owned hotel, they'll sell their interest in that hotel within 5 or 6 years. There'll be a new owner in in 6 years, 7 years, there'll be 3 or 4 owners over a 30-year period. And the experience is that they don't maintain these hotels well. This one hotel is really the core of the support for your conference facility. So thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today. We hope you'll consider the information that we presented in our remarks, and hopefully look forward to meeting with you again. Let's open it up for some questions.
Okay, committee, who has questions?
Got one. I'm glad you put up this rendering. So my question is regarding expansion. So considering Site 1, I know it's on the east side, I believe, of that site, and I think you showed like Lot 2 and 3, if I'm correct, or Lot 1 and 2. How do you expand the building if it's on the east side of that pink area? What are your plans for expansion?
Well, I just say that's a great question. I mean, what we're dealing here is a site that's wide open. And so I think that's part of what we need to know. Is this something that you want to expand by 100,000 square feet or 200,000 square feet? And if you would, we take this concept and create a space where it could be expanded. I mean, this is such a unique piece of property, being at the core of Fargo, and it's not repurposed. And so I think that's part of, if we're selected to kind of go forward, we design it for what we see the potential needs are in the future.
Thank you.
And let me add to that real quick. Every hotel, when we're at the stage of developing this and designing it for construction, we have an expansion plan for not only the rooms tower but also for the meeting space. So absolutely, we would have a plan for when this, let's say this is 200 keys now, adding another 100 keys or another 150 keys, or maybe a whole nother tower. So always looking for that option for sure.
Okay, got a couple questions queued up. Commissioner Kolpak?
Yeah, you mentioned that you work collaboratively with the city to make it Fargo, the concept more Fargo. Can you expand on that process of working with the locals to get it to be?
I would just,
Absolutely. Oh, go ahead. Go
no,
ahead,
Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, I just say, I think we spend a lot of time in the market. We do a lot of research. We talk to a lot of folks, spending a lot of time with our local partners that we have in Fargo, and really make sure that things like the colors we use, for instance, we'll go in and the interior design will take imagery and things that are important. Maybe it's the a bridge that's in town, or it'll be some sort of landscape that's an important piece to the city. We'll take those elements and then craft an interior design around that, and really pick up on the history as well. So we'll put together a narrative and a design book, and then we'll present that and make sure that we're on the mark. And this group will have plenty of time to make comments and tweak things and say, boy, I think you're really on there, maybe less of that. And we have thick skin. We are not ego folks. We're just roll up our sleeves and get this done. And we really work as a fiduciary to you to build this important piece of infrastructure that takes so long to make.
Okay, thank you. Joe, you got a question?
Yeah, given the concept here about this district, is there going to be an expectation of your project working with the city to do some kind of financing for the entire district to kind of capture the value for this bigger growth you're talking about?
Yeah, I think, we'd obviously try and look at all those things. There's going to be $100 million of development going on here as we grow. I think we'd want to incentivize restaurants, we want to incentivize other hotels, we want to incentivize, corporate headquarters, things that will help drive this. But I think that's part of the package, is figuring out what's going to make this successful. What kind of events are going to be there? How should it be built to maximize the revenue and net by those events?
One quick logistical question, then Commissioner Pepcorn has a question. I wanted to make sure, so you're showing two different sites, but you really only showed one plan. Your design plan is relatively the same. I mean, obviously things can change, but it's really just the site that you're saying is different, right?
Correct. I mean, we've tried to put a couple scenarios here. As you can see, there's other areas there that would be available. It's trying to figure out what's, when we get more input, how much should we plan for expansion? How should this be put together? And again, there was a debate over which site is the best, but again, that's part of the input from the city of Fargo. How do we refine this?
Okay. Commissioner Pepcorn.
Just a question about the land cost. So obviously you currently own the property, or is that included in with our 40 million as kind of our ballpark number? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I would say, right now, we're in a partnership with Shields on the land. The advantage of this land is we're not having to tear anything down or do anything like that. It's obviously never been built on. So again, and this is part of putting that whole package together. There's a lot of things that are built because here's our number, and then you can get a convention center, but it will be one that will deliver to Fargo for the next 50 years. So from our perspective, it's like making sure we have the right facility that meets the needs, getting that input, then getting the design right, and then completing that with the construction cost and where that's at. So to say up front, this is the number, it's hard to do. And I don't think that's not the normal way that things are done.
Okay, I want to make sure, since I can't see hands, Shannon or Mayor Mahoney, do either of you have a question? Now, if you'd like. Hearing none. Emma, and then Claire.
Can you share a bit more about the future development of the open lots nearby, just so we get an idea of what to expect for potential development?
The best way for me to describe that would be going to a powerful location down in Minneapolis and seeing what's developed around some of those very visible sites that are there. And so, again, from our perspective, if this becomes a site for the convention center, that will help draw others to that. But again, I would see more hotels, restaurants, corporate headquarters, that type of thing.
Claire?
Could you talk a little bit more about the plan for operations regarding, I know flag of Hilton or Marriott was mentioned, but the plan for who would operate the hotel, the convention center, any catering, that type of thing?
That's an excellent point, and that's what makes this kind of unique. So what happens here is we bring in a hotel, an operator that operates both the convention center and the hotel. So again, if you look at these past successful convention centers, it was a Marriott or it was a Hilton that came in and they managed them together. And by doing that, there's a coordination between, okay, here's how many rooms we need 18 months from now, here's how many rooms we need 12 months from now, 6 months from now. And so they're both working together kind of as the same entity. So best way for me to describe it, it would be one management entity managing the hotel and the convention center, an entity that would have the experience in that area.
Okay.
And on that just a little bit, Ray York.
Yeah.
We've been very successful in working with Marriott and with Hilton and with Hyatt on these facilities to eliminate, in many cases, most cases, the need for a franchise, the need for a third-party manager. Marriott or Hilton or Hyatt, whatever the major brand's going to be, we'll have serious conversations about them actually corporately managing this property. And they all have convention groups within those big brands that move groups from one region to another. So it's really effective, it's a less expensive way than having a franchise and a third-party operator. So that's what we'll be striving to do.
We're getting some ambient noise from somebody online. If you guys, yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Mute those if you don't have a question.
It doesn't spell their chambers. It's actually in the chamber, I think.
It's in the chamber. Okay, sorry. All right, other questions? Got a couple minutes left. If not, we will thank you, gentlemen. This is a great presentation. We're speaking for the committee. I think I can say we're enjoying all of this immensely. We're grateful to you and all of the other people who have submitted plans. This is a very exciting moment for us, so we appreciate everyone's interest in the project. We're going to take a 5-minute break while we get the next group up here, and then we'll be back. Thanks, fellas.
Thank you.
Thanks to those on.
This one starts at 1:45.
Oh,
If
okay,
We
we-
have to, so we don't have to.
We don't have to wait till 1:45. Is that all right with you guys?
That's,
Okay.
just didn't know if some.
Yeah. Clear's back.
Oh, all right.
Okay, Brian, can you make sure, are there folks online
There are.
for this presentation?
Oh, okay.
Do we have any people online? No, not yet? Pardon me?
Charlie, we're still here, Mayor Mahoney.
Okay, but are you expecting people to join? Okay, there's Bill, okay, and one more?
Mike and, so these are in person. These are online.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
just Bill.
okay,
Okay.
so you're good to go? Okay, well, that's great. Take it away. Mike, you gonna open up for us?
Yes, happy to be here. Well, thanks for the opportunity to present our plans for the convention center located in downtown Fargo at the Civic Quad. We have Rich Slagle and Oliver Finneman with McGough Construction, Alan Dossert with EAPC, and myself, Mike Almendinger, with the Kilborn Group. Our team also includes the Radisson Blue ownership, the Folkways team for placemaking, and many consultants from the area. Collectively, we have over 200 team members working in downtown Fargo from this team. We've also invited 2 national firms with deep convention center expertise, Gensler for architecture and ASM for operations and sales. So why downtown? This project is ready to go. There's no land acquisition, there's no TIF, there's no fundraising needed. There are hundreds of existing businesses ready to give a warm welcome to convention center guests. Downtown shows the brand of our city, our north of normal, and we are excited for everyone to experience what downtown Fargo has to offer. Broadway Square is available for events. We can have ice skating, live music, and corporate events in that location that complement the convention center. And I realize that the pandemic has not been great for downtown Fargo. This is how we can sustain vibrancy down here. When you look to 1970 to 2000, downtown declined for about 30 years. And this project is one way to keep leaning into downtown Fargo, keep it strong for the next 50 years. The value of downtown has grown from $200 million to over $1 billion in the last 25 years. And this is due to city leadership, in infrastructure investments, and a lot of developers putting a lot of work and effort into downtown Fargo. Downtown Fargo was not ready 30 years ago for a convention center, but it is absolutely ready now for a convention center. So we'll collaborate with the city on design, the budget priorities, and how to best use the Civic Center to deliver a project on budget. We already have some alternate design ideas to bring forward. The city will own the convention center, ASM will operate it, and they have extensive network to sell the space. We'll have a strong relationship with the Radisson Blue, and which will be connected by the Skyway, and will also work closely with the other hotels. Importantly, we are not proposing a new full-service hotel, which benefits all Fargo hotels. To provide the Marriott points, the owner of the Radisson would build a Marriott Moxie on the upper floors of the Radisson Hotel. So we'd like to talk about parking. We have adjacent parking spaces at the Civic Center garage, and the lot just south of the site is for sale. We've spoken to the owner, and she's willing to sell that piece of land that it's currently a parking lot. The city owns Roco, NP, and the Mercantile garages, and there are thousands of parking spaces in downtown. Our vision is to make the parking very easy through wayfinding and technology. Columbus Convention Center is a great example. It's run by ASM, and it lists real-time parking capacity in the garages, and it allows for advanced purchases to take place. So some points of view. If you park in the Roco or Mercantile garage, you can walk 300 feet and get access into a warm Skyway. So we'll have great wayfinding in the Skyway system to navigate to the convention center. And Or, when it's nice outside, you're, of course, welcome to walk, outside through a great downtown to have that experience to the convention center. For comparison, from University Drive to the front door of the Fargo Dome is about 600 feet. From Broadway Square to the Civic Center is about 750 feet. So we think that this is a manageable experience that we can do with good wayfinding for the experience to the convention center. So with that, I'd like to hand it off to Alan.
Thanks, Mike. My name is Alan Dostert. I'm the president of EAPC, Architects Engineers.
Turn your mic on, yeah. thanks.
Sorry about that. I'm going to walk us through the design concepts that this team has developed. And what we're presenting today is really at that downtown location, and we are at the 85,000 square feet plus or minus. And we've gone through the whole program that's included in the RFP, and so we've checked all those boxes. So that piece is all part of what we've laid out. I think the real thing we want to present in this is really talking about connectivity. At the end of this, if you can come away with one thought process, and that's the connectivity of this project, I think we'll have done our jobs. So we're working with the existing site and all the adjacent connections that include the pedestrian ways. It includes the Skywalk system with its connections to Radisson Blue, to the existing Civic Center and parking, and ultimately to the rest of downtown. So this slide really speaks to that connectivity. We'll keep it on this one. It's really a simple line drawing, but it really shows that connectivity in a very simple but schematic way. And let me say this as we go forward. The concept here is more than just a building. It's more than just a site development. It's more than a neighborhood. It's the further development and enrichment of the entire downtown. So you can see these connection aspects of this concept through the continued connection of 2nd Avenue. That corridor connection has been part of the city's master plan for some time, and we're utilizing that. The convention center site itself is the parking and property just south of City Hall, just south of us here. And it includes the adjacent green spaces between the Civic Center and the library. This location truly allows for that continuity and that continuation of the 2nd Avenue corridor, connecting this convention center, proposed convention center, through what we're really calling is Civic Square. So we're basically anchoring this access, 2nd Avenue access, with the existing Broadway Square, which is just greatly successful. And we see the same sort of thing happening with the Civic Square at the opposite end. So we're really building on that corridor connection. Ultimately, this concept will allow for future opportunities to connect City Hall, the library, and additional parking into that Skyway system itself. So now we'll take a look at this in a little higher detail. This is a conceptual site plan. You can see more developed and more defined images of those connections. The convention center itself sets the east edge of this defined civic square. It provides for a connection to the existing civic center. You can see that in the yellow connection, which connects us into the Skyway system. This connection provides great opportunity to redesign and or redefine the civic center and potentially use the civic center for that future growth. So that's a very integral part of our concept, and it could really be a key piece to the puzzle to really flesh this entire project out. The actual layout of the convention center is a very solid, very functional layout. It follows the expected relationships that you have between the back of the house or your support areas or service areas, the exhibition hall itself, breakout rooms and meeting rooms, and then, of course, the pre-function spaces. And those pre-function spaces are typically your signature spaces for a convention center like this. And we've taken those pre-function spaces and we've wrapped them around the north side and the east side, really maximizing that exposure and that experience in the convention center to the green space and to the river itself. All this, the other thing is future projects could include those links to the City Hall, to the library, and adjacent parking. And that would complete if, in essence, the east end of the Skywalk system. And we also have included provisions for a future pedestrian bridge, which would allow us to span Second Street across the flood wall and into the bike and pedestrian system in the green space of the river itself. So all this will add to a very spectacular experience for the attendees of a conference and an expo. But it also, here's what's just as important, it adds to the experience of all of us here in Fargo. It contributes not just to that function and that group, it contributes to the entire city and really fleshes out the downtown. So here's some renderings. This first rendering is, if you will, looking straight into what we're calling Civic Square from the west. You can see that's sort of the front door or the courtyard in front of the convention center itself. This next image is basically looking from the north. Again, this is looking over the top of City Hall and looking at that linear space, that connectivity from Civic Square to the river. And then this happens to be a rendering of what we feel we could accomplish, just really schematic, really quick rendering of what that square could have in terms of amenities. And the idea is to really provide this square as yet another node to connect further east to that pedestrian bridge and to cross into the river and really bring the downtown and the river back together again, which the flood wall to some extent separates. So that's really our concept.
Very good. Okay, we have Harry here with ASM that would talk a little bit about their role.
So good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon. Harry Can with ASM Global. Ann and I are going to try and get through a few quick overview slides as quickly as we can to stay on pace here. So we are the largest private management firm for public assembly facilities in the world. We currently manage about 450 venues. When I say public assembly, that's arenas, convention centers, stadiums, theaters, equestrian parks, and other multi-purpose venues. The number you see there is just our convention centers and conference centers. About 70% of those venues are in North America. We also have a fairly significant international footprint as well. While we do manage some very large convention centers in cities like San Francisco, Pittsburgh, and Salt Lake, if you look at our resume and our portfolio, our bread and butter, our niche is really in secondary markets, much like Fargo, where we use our systems, our best practices, our procedures, our expertise to elevate the operations of those venues and to put them on the map and provide a visibility, which Anna's going to talk about, that generates business and events for the communities and the destinations that we work for. The other thing I wanted to mention is our portfolio includes venues that are government-owned for the most part. About 98% of the venues that we manage are government property. So we understand the basic tenets of public administration, transparency, financial reporting, public bidding, all of that. We live it day in and day out. We are a government contractor at our core. Next slide. So I mentioned some of the comparable venues. If we can go back one. I'm not going to drill down on these, but smaller convention centers, secondary markets, conference centers. Some of these we took over the operations of after they were open and running. Some of these we were involved early on as a consultant and part of the project team during the construction period. Lansing, Michigan, capital of the state, we were just awarded that contract about 6 months ago. Adjacent hotel. Charlotte Harbor, which is more of a multi-purpose type venue, certainly does conventions, meetings, association business, but also does a fair amount of live entertainment. Waco Convention Center in Texas, again, just awarded in the last year. Waco's working on a downtown master development project, of which a new convention center will probably be a part of that. So we're looking forward to contributing to that effort. And Tucson is a venue we've managed for decades. Next slide. Las Cruces, square footage, similar to what we're talking about in Fargo. Again, a client for decades. We just had a contract renewed. Abilene, we were awarded about 3 years ago. In that photo there, you can see the DoubleTree Hotel. four-star hotel that has since opened since we took over operation of the venue. Albany Capital Center in New York, again, going back decades. And then Irving, Texas, where we came on very early with the project team during the pre-opening period to provide consulting from an operator's perspective right on through to the opening of the venue. And we've been managing it for about 15 years. And real quickly, food and beverage. Our footprint in the food and beverage and hospitality world is significant, both concessions and catering. We do about $1 billion a year in our food and beverage division. Obviously, food and beverage, I think we all know, is central to revenue generation, central to the overall event experience for guests, for attendees. On the concession side, in today's world, it's all about convenience for the customer, speed of transaction, frictionless purchasing, POS, grab and goes, and other technologies. And I just want to add, central to our approach, while we do have certainly a national scale, we operate our food and beverage operations very close to the local community. We use local brands, local products, local suppliers, local vendors, guests that come to our venues from out of town. They want to experience what Fargo is all about. And the locals who attend events at the venue will want to have available to them products, brands that they're comfortable with. So went through that quickly. I'll turn it over to Anna.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Anna Nash, Senior Vice President, Market Development. So happy to be with you guys today. I have the pleasure of working with our salespeople, our event services people, our marketing people, and our team members and our venues, and more importantly, with our meeting and event organizers who are using our portfolio of venues. Data is king right now, right? And we're using that data to make recommendations on how to improve the overall customer experience. This slide tells you a little bit about some of the trends and some of the expectations that our customers are telling us that they want in the convention center of the future. Signature outdoor spaces are really important. People want to get outside the four walls of a building and experience the outdoors. Bringing outside Fargo into the building is really a trend in the future. If they don't get to experience the destination, they want to feel like they know a little bit about it from being in the venue. Dynamic and interactive meeting space. It's truly important to have that interactivity within all aspects of the building, whether it's digital, whether it's static, whether it's art, whether it's food and beverage, as Harry mentioned. So they really get the feel of what the destination is all about. And as we move forward, we really have to keep in mind the generations that are using our venues. And the expectation, again, is experiential. It is not transactional. The days of just buying something and leaving, those are gone. We have to transform our buildings into these entertainment districts, like you were talking about earlier, and really giving them that experience that they're craving. 40% of the workforce right now are millennials, and those are people born between 1981 and 1994. Gen Z is only 6% right now, and those are people born between 1995 and 2010. But by 2030, they will make up 30 to 33% of the workforce. So we have to create spaces and destinations that this generation wants to see and wants to experience. And this is kind of the trend in the future and the venue of the future. Next slide, please, Mike. As I mentioned, I have the pleasure of working with our sales team, and really our goal is activating the network to bring more business opportunities and exposure to Fargo. We have a very collaborative sales approach with our destination marketing organizations, with our hotel partners like the Radisson Blu, the rest of the hotel community, the stakeholders in the community, because we want to be easy to work with. The meeting and event organizers that use the ASM Global and Legends portfolio, they have come to expect that exemplary customer experience that we provide, and we're easy to do business. So our goal is to really take all the business that is going throughout our portfolio and activate that business and identify what can go to Fargo. And that's really done through regional director of sales meetings, regional director of marketing meetings. They have dedicated people at their fingertips and the resources from our company to convert business opportunities that will be coming to Fargo. Next slide, please, Mike. As we talk further about sales, you can see some of these logos. These are some of the most influential lead generation opportunities in the business right now. Last week, I was just at Merritt's, which is the largest third-party management company. So I'm having individual appointments with people that have the opportunity to use our portfolio. I'm talking to them about every single one of our venues and trying to discern what they are looking for and then point them in the right direction. And then once they get into our portfolio, they want to use our portfolio. Again, talking about that ease of business, consistent license agreements, consistent business intelligence, so they know the value and the value proposition that they're getting from our opportunities. In 2 weeks, you see the small market meetings. These are meeting and event organizers that don't want to go to the large markets. They really are seeking out those small market destinations. And we have about 40 venues that have under 100,000 square feet of space. So this is an opportunity, again, where I would be going and representing Fargo to this influential group of meeting and event organizers who have the power to put multiple types of event types into Fargo. And then the last slide. I think I'm turning it back over to you now, Mike.
Yes, very good. Well, thank you for giving us the opportunity to present this. This project is meant for downtown. Look what we've created in the last 25 years. We have hundreds of businesses, over 50 food and beverage spots in downtown, new infrastructure, new parking garages, streets, and over 10 plus active developers in downtown. Within a half a mile of this site, there are over 600 local property owners, and they've all invested because they believe in the vibrancy of a downtown. Imagine the new developments that could happen with a convention center here. Sites like the old bookstore, police station, Mid-America Steel, Cass County Health, American Federal's Lot. Those are all properties that probably don't redevelop in the next 10 years without a convention center to give us a boost. Many of the proposals have new entertainment districts, and it takes a long time to create a district. What we've seen can happen is when the energy is pulled out of downtown Fargo. Just look at what happened in the 1970s when the retail left in the 70s. So let's invite people with a warm welcome to downtown experience, and the community has worked so hard to create. We have history, we have new businesses, we have vibrancy. And every local business would welcome all of these convention center visitors. So thanks for the opportunity to present this site, and we're open for questions.
Okay, thanks, guys. And Anna, could you go back to the slides showing the concept? I have a question about the pre-function and the connection to the Civic Center. Is that that looks like it's a covered walkway, or is it enclosed?
That's an interesting question. The little flag-shaped yellow stripe that goes up to the convention center, we've looked at that and studied it in 3 different ways. One is an overhead connection, one would be an on-grade, and then maybe providing sort of an underpass, pedestrian under it. That's maybe not the most favorite one. And the other one is actually doing it low and bringing the earth up to the top of it so it becomes a sloped plaza, and then the glass on the east side looks out over towards the river and to the rest of the green space connector. So we've looked at a lot of different options on that, and I don't know that we really have zeroed in on the exact way we want to do that.
Yeah, that caught my attention because I thought I caught an underground message in the printed materials that we got, that would be an underground connection from the
And if
conference
it
hall.
was underground, it would actually be sort of earth bermed on the west side, open glass on the east side. So it would be subterranean as you look at it from the west,
Okay.
but it would be like a walkout on the east.
So it wouldn't be walking like through a basement corridor? Okay, okay.
We want
that's
to have a
good.
positive
This is
experience for
helpful,
everything.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Other questions? Joe?
Can you speak to kind of drop-off and pickup here and kind of the utilization of First Avenue? And then the Civic Center itself, can you give us a little bit more understanding of kind of where that is in phase one versus future?
Well, I'll address the Civic Center question first. The Civic Center would be a connecting point. We really don't have that in our budget or in our prospectus in terms of doing anything with that for the time being. But I think this connection and this location spawns that ability to make it a very viable contributing component. And then it's a question of what does it become? Does it become, a black box theater? Does it become a speaking venue? Does it become, what does it become as this develops? So that part is not part of that budget that we put together, but it's a contributing component over time. And on the drop-off, we're primarily looking at the service area and delivery and that sort of thing happening on the south side. And basically the access points, or if you will, the front door for people is really through the Civic Square. And we don't really show a drop-off, but there'd be some homage to vehicle traffic that would allow you to be dropped off right basically at the square itself.
Okay. Commissioner Pepcorn.
Sure, a couple of questions. First of all, with ASM, with our just previous presentation, they talked about the importance of having a hotel for the cost of food service and things like that. Can you talk about this as a standalone? My question for you, are you optimistic that it would still be, it would be a break-even budget and not lose money? Because that's what they basically just said, the importance of that. If you could talk a little bit about that. And then I have a second question. So right now, those orange arrows, those are not in the budget for Skyways, but they would be possibly in the future. Is that what you're talking about? Because I do know, so the City Hall, we do have the ability to connect that. We built the City Hall that we're sitting in with the connection ability, and so I think that would be a great thing. And the other thing that excites me is the starting to connect with some of those blocks to the further south. That's expandability too. And then my third question is for Jim Gilmore. We already have a tax incentive district for this area. And I don't know the specifics, and I don't know if we want to get into it today, but we do have an existing, and I don't know if that would impact this project. So, all right, those are my rambling questions. So thank you, Charlie.
Oh, sure. I'll take the first, or the last two, and then I'll ask ASM to answer the first one. So we do not have the orange arrows in the budget at this point, but they are ready for expansion. There is a riverfront TIF district that is functioning in downtown Fargo right now. That's at the city's discretion on where to allocate that money. If that was, for example, like the pedestrian bridge going over to the river, Skyway to City Hall, those, or over to the library, those could all be connections made in a different budget than the convention center budget.
So Mike, this area is in that riverfront district. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, this whole thing. Okay,
that's right.
Thank you.
Yes, but we're not requesting any of the TIF funds to build the convention center.
Just one more, and sorry for interrupting, but the land costs then, obviously the city owns that land right now, correct?
Correct.
And so would you say that then the city is going to be donating it, or is that going to be purchased? How will that work?
Well, what we're assuming is that this is a City of Fargo property, so we're assuming that there would be no cost for the land.
It'll be a city-owned, the convention center will be city-owned in almost in every scenario because the city's paying for it. So I think there's the connection. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Let me go back to ASM and ask them to answer the question about the importance of a hotel, connected to the convention center.
I'll start, and then I'm sure Harry will tag team, but it's critical that that hotel component is near the hotel, and we certainly work in extreme close collaboration with that hotel. We work with them to establish, as well we do with the destination marketing organization, some really good booking guidelines. We need both of the spaces in the hotel and in the convention center. We need both catering entities to work together. The meeting and event organizer is going to want some things maybe hosted in the hotel and then some things hosted in the convention center. But it's a collaborative sell between the two of them because we want, again, that customer experience to be easy. And it's very important for the building and the hotel to work very closely together.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback. I think in terms of marketability and the mix of events that we're going to attract here, as Anna just said, having that hotel within close proximity, easy walking distance works. It doesn't have to be attached, connected. It doesn't have to be adjacent. It just needs to be, an easy walk, which this is, to be a marketable destination or package for meeting planners and corporate planners and decision makers. So I went through that list of venues that we manage. There's a couple slides, and some of those, yes, the hotel's connected. Some of those, it's the next block over, and some it's 2 or 3 blocks away. They all work. Financially, we can achieve our goals under all those scenarios.
And then I would just add that the owner of the Radisson, I mean, we've had multiple discussions with him, and he does have plans to build a Marriott Moxie on the top floors of the Radisson. So that would be, one way for us to offer the convention center with the Marriott points in the downtown area.
So tell me a little bit more about that, because I was going to get to that question. So how many rooms is he talking about adding? How many floors would they use for this?
He has a plan for 75 rooms.
75
as a
more
max.
rooms?
Yes,
Not taking any away from the Radisson?
that's correct.
75 additional?
That's
Okay.
right.
And then again, to be clear, so we talk about the orange arrows, and you're only talking about the extended ends, because the pre-function space you have would be enclosed, getting you to the Civic Center where you can get into the Skyway now and go over to the Radisson.
Correct. That was really important for us to be able to access the Skyway system, and this is sort of an extension of that, so we can just continue that connection into the entire downtown.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm understanding that. So there would be connection from the event hall to the Radisson without going outside?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Other questions? Anybody online have a question, by the way? Mayor or Shannon?
Got one for ASM while we're on the topic. So I own an audiovisual company, and I've worked in a lot of ASM venues over the years. I have senior food service offerings, AV, otherwise as well, and you guys do great work for the record, too. We have had, through the months that we've been discussing this, a number of different local and regional vendors across catering, AV, decor, and otherwise, that have expressed an interest in making sure that they have an opportunity to serve events that are hosted in these spaces, whether that be from catering or audiovisual or decor, like I said before, on a full-service basis. Do you have any examples of how you might activate these local and regional vendors within this particular facility under your management?
Anna, you want me to kick it off?
Yeah, sure.
We both have thoughts there. As I think I mentioned in going through the slides, and I know we went through them quickly, we use local providers, we use local suppliers, we use local vendors, local contractors to service our events for maintenance work, food and beverage supplies, food and beverage product. We understand that these venues are significant public assets, and we believe the foundation of operating them is providing a platform for local businesses and entrepreneurs to grow their company, to establish their company. So you can go right down the network of facilities that we have. We don't have national contracts with providers for these services. We're almost always using local providers and providing them an opportunity.
Yeah, and the meeting and event organizers, they want the ability to RFP their services out to see and get competitive bids. They also want the opportunity, if they're a traveling show, to use their own audiovisual company and bring that in. So we recommend not having an exclusive. If we want to have a preferred where we're giving a discount if they're using our preferred audiovisual provider, then we can certainly do that, or a preferred general services contractor. But we don't want to exclude anyone that wants to bring their own in and make that an exclusive. But it's very important for us to bring in the local vendors in the community. So there's, we're creating job opportunities for the community.
Cool, thank you.
Okay. Other questions? Again, anyone online with a question? Because say it again? 5 minutes we have about left if we need them, so. Shannon or Mayor? No? Hearing none? Any other?
Nothing for me. Nope.
Okay. Any other questions from the committee and present? Okay. Very interesting. Thank you very much. All of you, online and in person, thank you very much for taking time to be with us.
All right, thank you very much.
You're making our job.
Nice to meet you all. Have a nice holiday weekend.
Yep, yeah, same to you. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, we'll take we're a little ahead of schedule, so we're going to take a 10-minute break, and we'll be back. Okay, I think we're going to get going here. You guys have the pleasure of being our last presentation before the holiday weekend. Still have 3 more next week, though, so we appreciate you being here. This is the RLE Architecture Interiors Marketing Forensics Group, talking, I believe, about the Fargo Dome location. And Dave Supis, are you going to start us out?
Yes,
All right.
I am. And
You're on.
first off, excuse me for interrupting you. Thank you for having us at 2:30 on Labor Day weekend. Appreciate that. All jokes aside, thank you. Thank you for having this opportunity to present our concept with respect to the convention center at the Fargo Dome. Quick house cleaning item. We've been working with NDSU and their team over there. We invited them to be present with us. Unfortunately for them, they're in Charleston for the football game this weekend. So you guys are stuck with myself, Rich, Rob, and Rick. So thank you for having us. So to get going with things, our structure is this: we're going to present to you the concept, the structure / Rich will present concept. I'll present team / structure. Rob will present operations. So with that, I turn the table over to Rich for discussion on concept.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you, committee. My name is Rich Wimkin. I'm the RLE Architects and Interiors. We've been working in conjunction with Perkins and Will on developing the design for this. You kind of just see a shot from the north here that you take a look at the proposed convention center on the right and hotel in the left. We know at the Fargo Dome site, great established connectivity, great circulation, infrastructure from the interstates, close to the airport, easy to get down, move back and forth throughout the community. Been established, a lot of traffic that already happens, and looking at, improvements and getting into the existing infrastructure. So we kind of take the utilities, the infrastructure to support a facility already there. Parking lot, parking situation already there, land already there, building to connect to already there. We can start, shovel ready and into the site. And there's a lot of costs that benefit has significant that can go into the convention center to provide the product, as the city of Fargo being the owner of that has that advantage over most of the locations. Here's kind of just a kind of overall look, taking a look at with the convention center and the pink areas and the different shades right south of the Fargo Dome. Off to the east side in the purple, the hotel, and then off to the east of that is kind of the part of the difference of this and that is kind of the entertainment and the F&B that would go into this project. Kind of starting in with the convention center, really taking a look at that light pink area that surrounds that kind of bubblegum pink area that would be the 50,000 square foot exhibition ballroom space in the center. There's a very large pre-function space that circles all 3 sides. We feel that's really important to be able to move people in and out, have those post-meeting conversations, and then be able to feed different venues and different setups and different breakouts of all those rooms of how you access them. And then really where it's just kind of highlighted, we look at, we'll call it the knuckle, that's at northeast corner of the convention center, and that big where it says pre-function lobby, and that southeast part of the, outside of the Fargo Dome. In that connection point, it's a huge area to be able to do bigger events and pre-function, and then for really the convention center to operate independently, completely of the Fargo Dome. You have all the east and west and those different, and down to the south entrances and access. That convention center can have an event simultaneous to an event happening at the Fargo Dome, completely run independently. Or in the case that you have a bigger event, you can tie into the Fargo Dome lobby, multiple points in the concourse, and you could flow back and forth and gaining the, you know, all that huge asset that the city already has of the Fargo Dome in the operations. Take a look at the, kind of that darker pink area, the support spaces, the kitchen, the mechanical storage. Kind of centered in there is 7 truck dock bays. So we feel really in this type of facility and really looking at other facilities and how they operate, that you really need more like that 7 to be able to move in and move out, the type of events that you really want to have here, and to be able to have the versatility and the speed to be able to turn over events to do that and not be consolidated down to, you know, the tighter confines of that, and to be able to really have that success. So kind of we'll jump back to some of the other, but we'll kind of take a look at the Fargo Dome itself. So this is the 3 levels of the dome. So the field level on the left and the second floor on the right. You take a look at that light purple area on the left, that's 80,000 square feet of exhibit space. That's complemented by another 70,000 square feet on the concourse level of that light purple in the lobby area that can be utilized in addition to the conference center. Kind of hop back down to the field level, and you see in that central east side of the existing Fargo Dome, there's a grouping of a series of meeting rooms that are already there. And you kind of go straight up above that 2 levels over to the far right side is another large grouping of meeting rooms that's already there today that can be maximized to complement the conference center. And then in the hotel, you take a look at the purple and you go down to the south end, and there'd be another couple of meeting rooms there. So you'd have 16,600 square feet of additional meeting room space on top of the 50,000 square feet of ballroom space, just the way we set it up at this point. Kind of going by the numbers, you take just a quick chart of, we said, okay, the far left is a layout of what the committee came out and said, this is the minimum requirements that you must make. So you take a look at that first column in there, and that's what we proposed in there of meeting or exceeding all of those expectations. And then you kind of look to the right of that is just a quick blush of all the other proposals that may or may not, you know, meet all those. On top of that, there's another 150,000 square feet from the Fargo Dome that would blow off the top of the page for the additional space that can be utilized within this program. We kind of jump back over the overall, and we'll kind of jump to the east. Look at the hotel in the purple. So just right across the drive lane from the conference center. Entrance to the hotel and the lobby, bar, restaurant would be on that northwest corner as you'd come in, drop off. You can see those meeting rooms on the south side of that. That hotel then is the kind of the end stop to a gardens, courtyard space that would come down the center, and those orange buildings are entertainment and food and beverage type facilities. So where there's 2 stories, and those 4 buildings, looking at it's approximately 90,000 square feet of space there. On the east side of that, you look at backed up to University Drive is a stage. So within this activity, we see, you know, impromptu or smaller different events or things that would be happening in conjunction with things that are the convention center or other activities up there. Or it's part of that push that we're looking at is NDSU really wants to revive this area. And it's part of where they've gotten on board and have a commitment to having some of the space that's never been available to be able to be developed because they feel very strongly about supporting how this is going to happen and to be able to be a benefit to them and, you know, what they're going to be. Kind of jump up to the second level of that area, see the hotel there and the rooms and that we've laid out as a 160-room hotel that would go up. The Sky Bridge then would connect there off the convention center. You can walk across the street, or you can be connected by the Sky Bridge into the hotel, which then would connect over into that entertainment area. Second floor, that second floor of the entertainment set up where you can have terraces, patios, that type of food and beverage, and overlooking that garden space and then into the stage space. And then you'll see there too is the possibility there of being able to connect the Sky Bridge, and we've looked at into the Shack. So if you tie the Shack into this one, that's another large building that you could actually maximize. And if you had a super event and those type of conference, that would be able to go to all three buildings or connected into things that the university might be, regional, national type event. If you kind of go down to the straight south of the convention center, there's another entertainment there that and talk with them as a two-story, and then that would be in some of the stuff that gets reworked on Dakota Field there. And so this would overlook Dakota Field, and so it could be in conjunction with activities that are happening in Dakota Field and be able to interact in part of that entertainment space. You kind of take a look at this as the courtyard space and just kind of looking back to the west, the hotel. Kind of some remnants of the Red River and looking at the hotel being developed and having some kind of floor to floor and some of those kind of North Dakota elements that would really be themed in and tie that in. And then you can have some of those other concepts of the, you know, second floor space is looking into that. And we really see this being engaged year round. And so if you look at this and going back the other direction, so this is looking back at the stage, you know, in a winter time frame of how that could be interacted and the activities that could really do that. And that's something that just, I think the group and NDSU included with the FDA has just been really excited and just revitalizing North Fargo and just kind of being that spark. And you can see that just really kick it off.
That's concept side. Now we'll talk a little. Now we'll talk about our team structure some here. We at the Fargo Dome, this is our structure. We are an entity of the city of Fargo, so we come to you as the Fargo Dome Authority, answering to the city of Fargo, presenting for the convention center. We have a land lease with NDSU, and at this juncture right now, we've worked with them at this juncture to have a memo of understanding with NDSU to renegotiate the land lease agreement that we have with them in the event that the convention center should be assigned to the Fargo Dome. So we're actually looking at this in three phases. The first phase is the FDA working on the convention center with NDSU. Our second phase, this would be the first phase right here, working with on the convention center on the land right here, building that out. The second phase, which is the hotel, that land resides on NDSU's land right now. So we have been in conversation with them, very fruitful, very favorable conversations at this juncture right now that if awarded to the Fargo Dome, we would start phase two, and that would be the RFP for the hotel, and then also discussions on the land lease so the hotel could reside there. And then the third phase of our concept here is the F&B district over here, the entertainment district, which is on the southeast corner of the Fargo Dome lot over there, which would be the development of food and beverage and entertainment over there. And under that area, NDSU would run lead on that. The Fargo Dome Authority / city would be secondary to them under the idea that it's their land. So we would have to go to them and cede the land back to NDSU so they can move forward with the F&B entertainment development. So just wanted to give you a little idea how we're looking at it. We're looking at it 3 phases: Phase 1, convention center; Phase 2, RFP in the hotel; and Phase 3, the development of the southwest corner. So with parking and access, Rob?
See, it works when you put a note to yourself to turn your microphone on. So yes, parking and access. Just a little note here. Having been with Fargo Dome for nearly 35 years, I get a lot of conversations and questions about parking. Quick note on this: yes, with all of this added structures to this building, with taking a lot of the south side parking lot and part of one of the major parking lots at Fargo Dome, I think it's important to point out that right now there are 4,000 parking spots on the Fargo Dome property that are controlled by Fargo Dome. With some changes to the site along the west side and also on the west side of the conference center, but also the full west side, there would be some parking spaces gained back. But so it's fair to say, yes, there would be about a 350 net deficit parking from those 4,000 spots. However, I think it is also important to point out that within a 3 to 4 block area of Fargo Dome, there's another 4,500 parking spots through cooperations and agreements with North Dakota State University, with the NDSU Research Park, with Fargo North and Carlson Coliseum. And these are not controlled by Fargo Dome, but they are definitely utilized for a lot of Fargo Dome events when necessary as well. I think another point to that is, with the building being operating now going on its 33rd year, there's always been, well, we can't do anything, we can't lose parking, we can't do this. And as I sat through some planning meetings, both with RLE, with Perkins and Will, with Fargo Dome Authority representation, with partners and members of the NDSU Foundation, they're like, well, if we had this little space, we could do this. And I'm like, really? Are we not going to talk about? We're not going to do something that could be really cool because of 300 parking spots? I think we can work through that. I think we can all work together to fight the perception of lack of parking and access in that area, along with 19th Avenue, 12th Avenue, 10th Street, 18th Street, and all those major arterial roads that focus that. It all plays into that role to have a great entertainment district. I'll throw out a couple of names. I am not talking to that level, but if you're familiar with a Philly Live or an LA Live, outside of Citizens Bank Park and Wells Fargo Arena, outside of Crypto.com Arena in LA in the conference space, there are versions of that in secondary and tertiary markets, which Fargo is. And I realize there are other fantastic entertainment areas throughout this town, but these are just other areas to tie both places together because there's so much activity. The hundreds of thousands of people that come to the Fargo Dome area, not only for Fargo Dome events, but also for NDSU events at the Sanford Health Athletic Complex, out to Newman Outdoor Field, everything out there. And I don't live in North Fargo, but I work in North Fargo a lot. I think it would be kind of great to have even more restaurants and entertainment to go to for that district and that part of the city. As far as the operating plan of the conference space, the conference space would be managed by the existing 26 full-time and over 500 part-time City of Fargo employees that are already currently in charge of successfully operating the Fargo Dome for over 30-plus years. That staffing group would be augmented and added to in certain areas. The 9 individuals, I had to make sure my name was on there, of course. These 9 are the ones of our 26 full-time staff that primarily deal with these types of events now, the meetings, the conventions, those types of things at that facility, supported by the other 17, I was told there'd be no math, 17 full-time staff currently there. It gives you a flavor of everybody on this list is well seasoned along with the rest of the team members up in up in that building. On the catering side, our Director of Food and Beverage has over 18 years of food and beverage experience, along with her other team members. They would operate most of the catering. However, this building would be operated like it is now, on a hybrid basis. So food and beverage is, if not but pretty much the main revenue source for a conference space. So when available, when it works, it would be the Fargo Dome in-house food and beverage team making that work. But there are going to be different things. One of our partners, NDSU, they have an absolute fantastic catering side of things. If they're having the event, they're welcome to come in and do the catering there. If there are a certain group coming in that has different dietary restrictions or ethnic requirements that, frankly, our team just isn't familiar enough to make it the best possible thing, we'll work with an outside caterer to come in. That's, I think, another important piece of having the 6 to 7 loading dock areas, because or the 6 to 7 loading bays, because not only are you loading in, loading out different events, you might have one bay taken up by an audiovisual provider who's unloading or loading their stuff. You might have another one taken up by catering. So that all works together with each other as it goes through. The booking of the building, mostly done with Fargo Dome staff, but obviously Visit Fargo Moorhead is going to play a huge role. We're very familiar with how you've got the different agreements and the priorities. That time frame can be set so it's an 18-month and out, or a 2-year or a 3-year and out is basically Visit Fargo Moorhead and their team working with the internal team to find those large events coming in, which then can get communicated to the different entities, as been spoken about previously, where you get that 6 to 18-month time frame where it's probably the window's probably closed on the large regional conferences. You work for everything to come into these events and augmenting things that are happening around town. Again, internally operated, all of the revenues, all of the expenses, any annual operating surpluses, any operating deficits, they are the city of Fargo's, because it's the Fargo Dome. And so that is all supported by the existing $40+ million permanent fund that the Fargo Dome has to operate, and we will always have that vision to operate as efficiently as possible, but knowing that there are certain things and negotiation pieces that come into play when you're trying to lure some larger events to your venue. And again, just to focus, yes, the building is busy, but as we have worked on potential additions, focusing on conference space for nearly 10 years now, most of that activity is Monday to Friday. Yes, there are some Sunday setups. A lot of this is not going to be on Saturdays, but we have proven time and time again, as I was laying in bed last night, staring at the ceiling going, what am I going to tell these? I will just make it up. I can recall over the 30+ years of working there where we've had a concert or a theater event in the arena but doors didn't happen until 6 o'clock. But we actually had a conference or meetings in the meeting rooms up above the lobby and using the lobby as displays. And at 5 o'clock when that ended, our entire staff came in, tore down all the pipe and drape, tore down all the tables, the ticket office was ready to go, and an hour later we were opening the doors for the event inside. And so that's the beauty of having a combined staff. There are going to be days where that entire staff is hanging out and making it happen in the conference space, but there's other days when we're trying to switch from a Paul McCartney concert on a Saturday night to the Shrine Bowl on Sunday and getting the turf out. They're out there doing things that some of us have absolutely no idea to do it, but with smoke and mirrors we get it done.
Thanks, Rob. So there's the final picture of what would look if you were looking from the west to the east. And I would close out with these remarks. As we looked at this project, the Sandbox is $40 million to build a convention center. We want that as nice as we possibly can get it. As we've looked at it from the Fargo Dome Authority, we've already identified a couple areas in this convention center that we believe would benefit the Fargo Dome equally as much as the convention center. We have $45 million in our permanent fund, and we would look to that to supplement or augment some of that to benefit the Fargo Dome. That would also benefit the convention center. So while there's $40 million available or capacity for convention center, we're looking at the Fargo Dome Authority saying, hey, we have extra capacity if need be to get this project done. So thank you for your time. We'd open up for questions.
Okay, Commissioner?
I have a question about, so the hotel, what is your vision for that? Is it a full, we had other people talk about a full-service hotel, and my main question is about the kitchen. Right now, it looks like you have the kitchen in the new convention space and not in the hotel, and maybe you can talk a little bit about the reason behind that. Thank you.
There would be a kitchen in both the hotel and the convention space. The convention space would support that and the events that would happen. There would be a convention or a kitchen in the hotel, the way we've laid out, proposed to be as a, the full service, select service is kind of terminology on what there, but it's going to be bar, restaurant, food in that hotel. And then that, because the hours of operation of that are going to be different than the convention needs and the efficiencies to be able to operate.
Dave, I'd also add to that, this is the concept. And so there could be changes depending upon what type of hotel comes in. It's no secret, the government agencies have to RFP projects, so there could be changes to some of this depending upon the type of hotel.
But it's just a different financial model compared to the other ones, because a couple of the other examples, the hotel kind of owned and operated the convention center too. So it's just a different perspective, correct?
Correct.
Correct, yes. The convention center and the Fargo Dome would be separate from the hotel.
What's the square footage of the convention, or the kitchen in the convention center size? I probably saw it, but I don't remember.
It's like just about 7,000 square feet.
7,000, okay.
It'd be about 7,000 that is put in there, but we also have a 2,500 square foot kitchen in the building already. So they can work in, as we've talked about this with our food and beverage team and our chef, okay, this is here, but we're still gonna have the backstage needs and different things such as that would be utilized. It's existing in the building already. And again, if something's not going on in one of the spaces, both can be used if necessary.
And you talked about, hang on one second, I just want to hit this before I forget. So you talked about the ability to have, Rich, you were talking about you could have different events going on in the different parts of the building.
Correct.
And so if you were only in the convention center, you would be able to have that going on during other activities. Does that include like a Bison football game? Parking demands at the convention center won't be.
The buildings could be occupied you could have a concert or a football game at the same time. Parking, as you said, obviously is going to be demands, just like if you have a 25,000, seat event that happens, it's going to take a lot of spaces. There's going to be there would be parking that's separate for the convention pieces and how they use it, and part of it's going to be how Rob manages a lot of that in the operation. The same thing is, when do those times really happen at the exact same time, or how many of them are?
Yeah, and we've had this discussion for 10 years, and we have, of course, football season is the same thing as prime conference season, so don't usually probably overlap days, but it would be certainly some quick turnaround at some.
It definitely quick turnarounds. That's, we've done them, and we'd have a larger group to do that. It's one of those where in our industry, if you get something thrown at you, you try to grab more people to throw at it. That also, I think, plays into that whole 18, 2-year, 3-year out. That's the type of event that we would know typically, not all the time, but typically would know a year to many, many months in advance so that we could plan for that and working on it. Now, are there going to be certain times where there might be two conflicts? Yeah, there's going to be that time in every one of these scenarios. That's not going to work. So I think we take all of the advantages and then meet the challenges head on and work through it and make it work.
Okay. Someone down. Joe, did you have a question?
You were speaking about the Phase 3, I think you called it, with the F&B entertainment. And it sounds like that relationship is really going to be driven by NDSU. They own the land. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like they would be playing more of a front-end role on that?
Yes, so Phase 3, which would be the orange screen right, that is the land that we are on right now for the Fargo Dome is through a land lease with NDSU. It's a 100-year lease for $1. So any work that's done on that land outside of the Fargo Dome needs to be negotiated with NDSU. At this juncture right now, specific to the convention center, we have the memo of understanding in place that if awarded the convention center, we have the structure to amend the land lease to put the building up there. Phase 2, the purple, that being the hotel, we would have to, through the RFP process, before we get to that, have the discussions with NDSU on amending the land lease for the hotel to go there. Phase 3, where the orange is, more than likely, of course, we're not there yet, but more than likely, the Fargo Dome Authority would cede back that land to NDSU, and NDSU would go through the process, that NDSU Foundation will go through the process of RFP developing that portion of it.
I will violate rule number 1 of never contradict somebody you work for. But the memo of understanding in place is discussing both the conference space and the hotel with NDSU as far as that. So that's essentially taken care of, but obviously there's going to have to be an RFP process, different things such as that. With regards to the entertainment district, we feel that might be in better put into the purview of NDSU and or their affiliations partners to be able to have the best resources to get the best proposals to come together with that.
So we're talking about phases here, so it behooves me to ask you this question. So Phase 1 is the convention center, Phase 2 is the hotel. What sort of, tell me time frame you're thinking between the convention center and the hotel?
Yeah, simultaneous. I mean, if
Good answer. Okay.
If awarded the convention center, I mean, yeah, you have to start working on the hotel simultaneously. The convention center, wherever it goes, is 2, 3, 4 year build out in of itself. So yeah, you don't want to wait until the convention center done and then start on the hotel. So they would run hand in hand.
Excellent.
Part of the team, members of the team have been Marquette advisors and also brand hospitality from a management standpoint. So there's conversations, it's just the different steps that a public entity has to take versus a private entity.
Right. Yeah, no, we understand that. Commissioner?
Yep, I have 2 questions. The first is back to operations. You said there would be some augmentation of current staff, and then there would be a lot of collaboration. CVB staff for the marketing booking. Would part of that augmentation be around the marketing booking?
Yes, and yes to your next question.
Okay.
It would be, when you look at a conference center, a convention center, your main areas of labor needs, food and beverage, marketing, selling it, as well as conversions. And that's where our focus would be on this. Again, we are a department of the city of Fargo. You're absolutely brilliant director of finance for the city of Fargo. I happen to know her, may have worked with her for 27 years, but we were putting in a very robust financial system. So the accounting, the back end, all of that is pretty much taken care of and can be done. So we would be augmenting with those positions and or working very closely with the CVB.
And my second question is related but not direct to this presentation, but as part of the phasing, where does the phasing of, we just had 2 attempts for tax to make upgrades to the Fargo Dome itself. So where is that in this work, and how do we get to, for instance, the ADA compliance concern, some of those issues with Fargo Dome?
Well, with respect, I would answer that as a City of Fargo employee and say, that's a great question that I'd love to have a conversation with you as a city commissioner on. But we continue to work with RLE, with Perkins and Will, with the Fargo Dome Authority on what can be done in light of the decisions that, the votes that were made by the public, and we respect that. What can be done with part of those funds to change and still continue to enhance, but I think those are ongoing conversations that will have to happen amongst the city. There are plans in place. All it takes is money. And so it's working in conjunction with all of these things and keeping sight of that, and making sure that what is being discussed here might be part of what was in some of those original proposals that can happen out of the existing permanent funds. And as that, hoping that fund continues to grow or be sustainable, what are the areas on some of the other parts of the building, more enhancing the accessibility, changing over the restroom spaces, all such as that, to work together. But it is a big puzzle that we're all going to have to be in together and work together on.
And to add a little more color to that question, that was what we were going to start working on at the beginning of the year, and then the convention center RFP came out. So you have to look at it and say, okay, we're going to be looking at the convention center. Maybe at that time, simultaneously, if that comes to us, we can address some of those issues too. So it's on the radar. We just have this opportunity in front of us right now to look at that, and then still pay attention to those other items.
Well, I think we'd be naive to not think that some of the things you want to do with the dome, especially on the south side, could be facilitated
Yes.
if this went your way, right? So
It looks a little familiar, doesn't it?
it does look familiar, yeah. And it would be, and to be supplemented with permanent fund.
Right,
So,
yes.
So, okay. Other
Yeah,
questions?
to be clear, this is not taking that lodging tax. Anything that is north of that north wall, so the knuckle that Rich was referring to, that is not the lodging tax dollars that would be paying for that.
Okay, thanks for that. Commissioner?
Is NDSU committed to funding that stage 3 portion? Like, will that be dedicated by NDSU to fund that, or will they be looking for private funding, or where will those dollars come from?
The short answer at this point right now is that it would not be NDSU. It would be, they would go through the process of RFP and developing as we're talking right now. But
Just to go along with that question, so then my question is, so tax exemptions, then would these be eligible if they're because it's all right.
Would these be taxable at that point in time? Yeah, because it's a publicly owned property, when you either through lease or sale turn that over to private activity, they now become taxable. That, not the land itself, but the improvements on the land and the use of the space, that becomes taxable and would be eligible for a TIF. We haven't talked about it. I mean, that's down to the developers. We, as a developer of the convention center, obviously, we don't need to look at a TIF, but we have talked about the use of a TIF, but that's going to be up to the developers themselves to see if it's available through the city, we could use that.
So kind of to follow up, so then to summarize it, the convention center part of it would not be eligible, but like the hotel or the things in orange would be potentially eligible for some possible tax exemption.
If I may, well, first off, it would be eligible, but there'd be no benefit to a TIF from the convention center because it's not going to be taxable property. So anything that's private use would be eligible.
Okay.
So then, to keep it simple, so then the purple and the orange would be eligible.
Our understanding is if it's leased to a for-profit entity and used for for-profit purposes, it would be eligible, yes.
Thank you.
But not the land, because the land was.
The land, but there's
The improvements above the land.
improvement, and which includes the availability to use the land. That's included in the value of that property.
Okay. All right, we're right up against 3 o'clock. Any other questions? Any final questions for these folks?
Nice little easy one. Is the Sky Bridge, like for certain between the convention center and the hotel? That's
Yes.
included in the budget? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was going to answer that for you. Of course it is. Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Okay, thank you to
Yes, thank you. You guys have been
you
wonderful.
folks. And for all of the other presenters today, we have 3 more next week, and then the hard part comes. Thanks, everybody. Meeting's adjourned.